Hi everybody, welcome back to Project Happy Home. For those of you who are new here, I'm Tanya, a doctor, lawyer turned homeschool mom of 3 kids ages 9, 6, and 4. If you are interested in videos about secular homeschooling, raising a child with ADHD, and living a more essentialist lifestyle, you have come to the right place. So be sure to hit that subscribe button down below the video so that you don't miss any. In this video, I'll be doing a quick flip through of a new reading activity book that is on the market called Learn to Read Activity Book, 101 Fun Lessons to Teach Your Child to Read by Hannah Braun. And I picked this up, I'll be honest, because I have taught 2 children how to read so far, and I needed a little variety in my own life. My son taught himself to read, honestly. Like, I had all these plans to teach him to read, but he was a self-taught reader very, very early, was reading short picture books by the age of 4, and by 5 was a pretty fluent reader on his own. And there was no real in-between. I mean, I read to him, and then suddenly he was reading, and I can't take any credit. For my daughter, however, who just turned 6, we've been using a combination of 100 easy lessons to teach your child to read, as well as the reading lesson, and that has been working wonderfully for her. To cement all the things that she learns in those 2 books, we've been using the Crafty Classroom's read curricula, which really got her sight words down and helped her understand like phonic blends, etc. This book, Learn to Read Activity Book, is just something I saw and thought might be a really fun book for my youngest to use, particularly at the beginning, because it starts off, it's very colorful, and it works off what they say is the I do, we do, you do kind of format, where you have the adult model the skill and the I do, the we do, which is guided practice. And she says to think of it as training wheels, where they try the skill, the adult gives corrective feedback, and then you do, where the child practices independently. I'll admit I really like the layout of this book and just the tactile pleasure of it. It's nice and contained. It's not ginormous. It's an easy book to slide into your purse and take with you to practice with your child, for example, when the older children are going to lessons or taekwondo or what have you. Both the reading lesson and Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons are both hefty tomes, and I never really take them out of the house. In this book, it's very straightforward and simple. Here you have Lesson 1, letter A. Number 1 is share the objective. This is scripted, very similar to 100 Easy Lessons, because it says, say, today we'll learn what the letter A looks like and sounds like. Learning letter sounds will help you read words. If you feel insecure about teaching reading, that's a really good thing for you to have a scripted lesson. Obviously, you do not need to follow the script. I find that a lot of people who don't like scripted lesson books tend to be really type A about it, where they don't feel the freedom to deviate from the script. I say use the resource and deviate from the script. Do what works for you. Talk in a way that makes sense to your child. Here you have little boxes where they give you additional information. For example, when children know what they will be learning and how it will help them, they are more likely to pay attention to the lesson. So it gives you a little teacher guidance as you go. 2, teach the letter shape. Point to the letter, say this is the letter A. There's a big A and a little a. Watch how I trace the letters with my finger. So you're supposed to model that for them. This is definitely the I do part of the lesson, and they copy you. So can you trace the letters with your finger? Teach the letter sound. Say the letter A makes the sound A, like at the beginning of alligator. Can you open and close your arms like an alligator's mouth? So definitely a little bit of tactile, like involved body movements, especially for your kinesthetic learner. That might be really helpful. Let's make the A sound while you make your arms chomp like an alligator. Alligator. Repeat after me. And then practice blending skills. Let's play a listening game. I'll say 2 sounds, and I want you to put them together to make a word. If I say and t, you say and t. And so you can practice that. And if you have things like letters or a movable alphabet, etc., you can practice it and bring the letters together. So with any book, even if you don't have manipulatives included, I really recommend having a set of just movable letters, whether it's letter tiles or just a felt A or whatever you have. Having the letters to practice phonics is really helpful and has proved really helpful for both my older kids. Here you have the little activity independent work page where they have to color the boxes with A to make a path for the ant to get to the hot dog. And then here they have to practice sounds and circle the letter with the A. So letter 2 does not move on to letter B, which I find to be really intelligent. It moves on instead to letter M, which is an easier phonics sound for children to master, and it has very similar instructions. Then it goes on to letter T. There's different types of activities here, but they do practice the same skills, which is visual recognition of the letter and then recognition of the phonic sound. So the letter S, and then they have a review for lesson 5. They go on to the letter I, and they have a little spinning game here for you where you can put a paper clip here and hold it down with a pencil point and then flick it. And if it lands on something that starts with F, you can move 2 spaces. If it lands on something that doesn't, you only move 1 space. So they have little games to play, which I like. So by page 20 or lesson 10, it moves on to blending. And it talks about reviewing at the beginning. Do you remember the sound and shape for each of these letters? And then you demonstrate. And this style of reading here with the arrows is very similar to Teach Your Child to Read in 180 Lessons. And it goes on and it's am, and you say it as you move your finger around the arrow. For my second child, for whom reading didn't come as naturally as her brother, this style of following the arrow really helped her understand that you have to go in order. For whatever reason, she would always tend to say the letters that she felt more comfortable with and then get a little bit confused as to where she started and ended, and the arrow concept is very helpful. So if you are using Teach Your Child to Read in 180 Lessons, this is a nice supplement. Your child will be able to recognize the style of teaching very quickly while also having a review page to do those activities and remember the sounds. Then you have word families by lesson 16. So you have the at word family, and it starts to practice mat, rat, pen, sat, etc. And then again, they introduce U, C, B, and N, and then blending again. So then you move on to other word families like the ought family. I think if you are using this book in combination with a more comprehensive phonics program, it's a really good way of cementing these skills, especially on the go. Very short lessons, not overwhelming, a good amount of practice. By lesson 36, I believe you've gotten through all your letters and several different word family blends. You can see that the activities are varied but do repeat, so your child will build familiarity with a variety of these game styles. Here you have sight words being introduced by around page 82. So the words I and a. Here you have am. So I am happy. Here you have more word families like ip and ugh and app. There's reviews. The progression is really gentle. It does not provide so much review per word family, which is why I think this book is better as a supplement than as your only book. But I think it is very colorful, very nice, and overall I'm really excited to use it with my daughter. Of course, later on in the year, if I find that it's not very effective or that we haven't used it, I will let you know. I do not think this is a good standalone book, simply because I don't think it has enough practice per word family. That being said, if you want to have one textbook that gives you activities and instruction, this is a really good option. It has about 203 pages together, and I'll just do a quick flip through again so you can get an idea of what the pages look like. It's very colorful, it's very clear on its instruction, and I think it's a great supplement to a reading program. All in all, it has about 101 lessons, or maybe 100 lessons. No, it has 101 lessons. And so I think it's a really nice way to progress through the year as you're teaching your child to read. Again, with all these Teach Your Child to Read programs, I don't think you should progress one per day or anything like that. I think you should go at the pace at which your child is ready. So if they're not getting it, back off a little bit, practice like letter sounds again, and then try blending, etc. The more fun you can make it with the least amount of stress, the better. I think my daughter will really like using this book, and I plan to make it sort of the one that I keep in my purse, the one that we take with us, as she does a lot of waiting with me by necessity because she's the youngest, and there's a lot of classes and activities that we take the older ones to that she can't do yet. So this is a nice on-the-road book for us as we practice our reading. As always, you guys, I appreciate your time and I hope this was helpful. If you have any more questions about the book, let me know in the comments down below and I will try to answer them. Thank you so much, and I wish you the very best day.